Hello, Herb.
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
What's up, Herb?
All right, listen, here's my question. Because that caller you had a few minutes ago, he brought up an interesting point that the Biden administration wants to allow illegals to come over the border. But let me just ask
That's
you
not
this.
true.
Okay, when Governor Abbott put those barriers in the Rio Grande River to stop illegals from coming across the river by swimming and stuff like that, he put those barriers in there. What did the Justice Department do when they put those barriers in the river?
Right. The reason
What
why
did they do?
the reason why the Justice Department ruled against it and they didn't want that to happen is because it would be inhumane, and a lot of people regard that as more people dying at the border, and that's why that wasn't eventually implemented, Herb. And I support that 150%.
Okay, they were already dying because they were drowning in the river.
There are people that die. There are people that.
They had. Wait a minute. Let me finish. They had Border Patrol agents trying to save the illegals that trying to get across the river,
Herb,
and they were dying.
Herb,
they were drowning.
Herb, I didn't say that
so they
nobody.
Put barriers, they
Herb,
put barriers
Herb,
in the river
Herb,
to
I'm trying
prevent them
to.
from coming.
I'm trying to give you
and
some
they
background on
threw-
this. I do know what I'm talking about when
I
it
know
comes to
the
this
background.
issue. Okay, well, I don't think you do because the reason why did the Justice Department decide to do what they do then? What was their explanation? Do you know their explanation?
The explanation was, I'm telling you what it was. I just told you. They put barriers because.
And why were the
illegals
barriers
trying
taken
to
down?
swim-
And why were they taken down? What was the explanation
because
behind that?
Because the courts ruled against Texas, and they made them take them down.
And why did they rule against it? What was the explanation? That's my question.
Because the federal government and the Biden administration, they want illegals to come across the border.
That is not
so
true. Another ill-informed caller. Herb, I'm gonna inform you because you are ill-informed. The courts never said they did that because they wanted illegals to cross the border. Joe Biden never said that because he wanted illegals to cross the border. That is not true. That is your interpretation, and it's a very stupid one. The reason why, and Joe Biden talked about this, and many of those courts and judges and statements that you could look up, which is public record, the reason why, because they said it was, quote, inhumane, and more people would lose their lives trying to cross the border. Herb, you have absolutely no frickin' idea what you're talking about. Now, if you think we should have barbed wire and maybe people should shoot people at the border, then you can go ahead and you can have that opinion, my friend. But I have something called compassion, and the guy who you are going to support is the guy who has no compassion for anybody. That's the man that you are voting for, Herb, is it not? You're voting for Donald Trump.
Yep.
Right.
Yes,
you
I
proudly are voting for a man who wants to tell a woman what to do with her own body.
Right,
you are
Brian,
proudly
right.
Aren't you proudly voting for a man who is a liable sexual abuser? You're proudly voting for a man who dodged the military. You're proudly voting for a man who said Kamala Harris turned black. Hey, Herb, if you don't mind me asking you, are you a black man or did you turn black? Herb, are you a black man? Oh, Herb hung up the phone. That's too bad. Herb, did you turn black? Would you vote for me if I told you turned black? You talk to me about border security, and you bring up a topic where you have absolutely no idea what you're talking about. You claimed ignorantly on this show that the judges who ruled against those barriers in the river, that Joe Biden, who endorsed it, the reason why they did that, because they said they want illegals to be in this country. You are a liar, or at a minimum, extremely uneducated and ill-informed. I just gave you their reasoning for it, and you have no idea what you're talking about. Next time you call into this show, have a clue what you are talking about, you MAGA moron, you. Have a clue. Because every single time somebody seems to call into the show that criticizes the Biden administration, which I'm okay with, by the way, but usually when people call into the show that are Trump supporters and they want to criticize Kamala Harris, for example, oh, well, she's allowed all that money to go to Israel. She hasn't signed off on any of it since being the vice president. Or the last caller who just called in. Oh, you know why they're not allowing the border to be built thoroughly and finished? Do you know why they're not putting those barbed wires in place? Do you know why they're not doing all those things? Because they want illegals to come here. No, they don't. That's the way a dumb person thinks. Mostly people that will be supporting Donald Trump, Herb, like a Herb, MAGA Herb, who cowardly hangs up the phone again. You and Donald Trump have something both in common. You're both cowards. He dodges the military. He won't debate Kamala Harris, and you don't want to continue a debate with me. You're a coward.